All right, we should start showing up for people in just a second. I'm going to do a
You're gonna hear a
dramatic
crowd.
drink pour to start off the stream.
All right, I iced myself, so we're good.
Some ASMR.
Star Wars and soda.
Star Wars. Oh, dude. What a way better podcast name. Actually, no. I like ours better. Hello, people. So we're live now. I think people can hear us. They can see my beautiful background art. Excuse me. Jedi Prince Ken. I'm sure there's a better picture of him, but
I thought you were saying you were going to use that as the thumbnail.
Oh, that would have been nice.
That would have been kind of spoilery for people.
Yes, that's why I chose not to. I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia page for this before we begin, just to the plot. Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing a notebook to take notes, but then I was like, I already went to see this movie alone because no one else was free when I went.
Yeah.
And sitting there alone taking notes, that would have been too much. I'm willing to do a lot for the podcast, but not that.
Yeah, not that. Everyone drop a like on this if you haven't already. And just for people who don't know, we're basically doing a live recording of the podcast that Corey and I do. There's a lot of new viewers here. So we don't interact with the chat as much, though we do have points where we talk to the chat. But yeah, we do. Every 2 weeks we do usually a Star Wars Legends book, but this is our first very special episode.
This is after school special. This isn't just regular special.
Aren't the after school special episodes where, like, you know, on like Boy Meets World or something, there's like a pedophile teacher or something?
Yeah, usually with drugs and stuff, I was going to say that we're going to talk about your clear alcohol problem, but
Sorry.
I want to change it to that. That's
yeah, you ready to get started, Corey?
Sure.
So yeah, people, just if you donate, know that even if I don't say thank you, I'm thanking you in my heart. Leave a like, and at the end, if you stay around, we will take some questions. We got some emails, links to all the normal Tapcaf stuff down in the description. You can find the podcast there. Yeah.
What just happened to your voice there?
I was adjusting my seat.
Okay.
This will
sound like
be
you got really into it for a second.
Yeah.
But
all right. Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Tapcaf Transmissions. I am joined, as always, by my co-host Corey, and we are talking about a very special story involving a young Jedi Prince named Ken, a reborn Dark Empire, and not really weird. We're talking about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Corey and I both saw it last night, not together, unfortunately. We live across this great country of ours. But yeah, so this is our first very special episode of Tapcaf Transmissions. For anyone who hasn't seen it before, typically we talk about Star Wars Legends books. Today we're talking about a movie, so that's fun.
I like to think that every episode we do is a very special episode, really, but this is extra super special because it's the last Star Wars movie that's ever being released, as all the posters keep saying.
Yeah. I mean, ever probably not, but Last Skywalker, I do believe that. Sorry, I just had to flip between my my settings there because I was getting Twitch notifications come in. But yeah, I definitely felt that in the theaters too. I felt a little sad, especially at the end. There would be no more. Did you have any like big cosplayers or anything at your event?
There were people that had been hired by the theater. There wasn't anyone that I saw that had just showed up in there. I think there might have been a few, but I might have just assumed they were all theater employees.
Mm-hmm. That's a little strange because I remember when I distinctly remember when I saw episode 7 and when I saw episode 3 especially, it was like the whole theater was dressed up. But I think it might have been because I didn't go see the very first show in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the Ray at my theater had double-bladed yellow lightsaber. So
it's a little weird.
That seems weird that they do that for the promotional material.
Yeah.
Or not even promotional material for. They must have distributed a bunch of those yellow double-bladed plastic lightsabers to Rey cosplayers for their premiere events. Was like that doesn't really like you get it at the end. And spoiler alert,
Yeah, spoiler
we
alert.
are talking about the whole movie here.
Yeah.
But
Does the one she get at
I
the
kept
end...
expecting that to come out a lot earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Is the one she gets at the end double bladed?
It looks like it has two
'Cause it's
emitters.
like
We
her
only see the
staff,
one
right?
blade, but yeah, like she's always used a double staff or a staff, so it makes sense that that was what she'd get. And I really thought when they were going through the whole Ben redemption arc that he would get the Skywalker lightsaber,
Yeah.
and she would build her own,
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
and it would be the yellow double bladed saber, and we get some of that. But instead, it's just when she's getting rid of Luke and Leia's.
I'm pretty sure like JJ before he started the movie, he was like going to Reddit and was like looking up fan theories, and everyone was like, "She's got to be like Bastila. She's got to be like Bastila," and I think that maybe
I would have liked it if it was in the movie more. Like,
yeah,
I would have preferred her using that lightsaber in a battle at some point,
right?
Instead of turning it on.
Because like the brief little battle she has with Darkseid Rey, where Darkseid Rey has the double-sided blade, that was cool. Like that shows like how cool a dual-sided lightsaber can be.
Yeah. And then, clearly she got the idea from herself. There's like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
She's like,
I don't want to do the whole dark side thing,
epic,
but very cool and very epic.
Yeah. I guess we are going to jump right into the discussion of the movie. Is there any other Star Wars news you want to talk about before we get right into it, though, this week?
There was a Mandalorian episode earlier in the week, so they didn't really push that it was coming out earlier, so if people missed that, you can watch it.
You haven't watched it yet?
No, I have.
Okay, did you like it?
I actually really liked that one.
Yeah, that was probably my second favorite, without spoilers. But
yeah,
we don't have the Mandalorian podcast yet. Maybe next season we'll throw Mandalorian episodes in every second week or something. I don't know.
Probably should.
Yeah. Besides for that,
and Obi-Wan episodes, because Kenobi should start.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about maybe having a special episode next week for the finale of Mandalorian.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah. I mean, we both read Last Command like 3 times already, so we could also do that.
I finished it once, so yeah. The next book we're reading, by the way, guys, funny enough, is the other end of a trilogy, The Last Command. And I was going to do a little joking thing at the beginning where I pretended that that's what we were talking about this episode, but I decided not to.
We should have gone with the Dark Empire stuff, though.
Yeah.
You instead went with Jedi Prince, and not here for it.
Yeah, there was no Trioculus in this movie, unfortunately.
All right, so do you want to just get right to it and say what your general opinion of the movie was right now, or do you want to talk about it a bit, keep people in suspense about what you thought overall, and then we can let them know?
I think it's going to be clear what we think. I think we should do general opinion first. Let's start with you, though. I'll put you on the spot.
Okay, so this is a weird one. There are a lot of individual moments in the movie that I really, really liked. It does have honestly, I'd say some of my favorite moments in Star Wars movies. But as a whole, like the first half of the movie was way too frenetic.
Yeah.
As soon as you find out that Rey is a Palpatine, I feel like the pacing changes and gets a lot better. But there's still a lot. Like the movie doesn't explain a lot of itself. So if you were willing to just accept what it gives you and accept that we'll probably get backstory for it later,
right,
I feel like you're going to have a much better time with the movie than if you're like, okay, but why can she heal stuff? Why can why is Palpatine here? Like if you just take its premises for granted, then you can have a lot of fun with this movie. I ended up for the first half I was like, okay, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah.
The second half was like, okay, I'm going to let it do what it's doing. And I really enjoyed it after that point. It probably works out to my favorite sequel movie.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'll have to see it again before I really know for sure where that's going to fall. But it's a movie where people could tell me it falls anywhere in their rankings, and I'd be like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I feel that too. For me, I think I was too shocked by, because I didn't actually dislike many of the story decisions except for one that I understand, but personally I would have done it the other way. Most of the story things were fine. I thought the Emperor coming back is fine. I kind of expected that. pretty much since episode 7. I think a lot of people probably did. I was fine with that. Didn't really like the Rey Palpatine thing that much, but I'd read the leak, so I'd kind of had some time to get used to it. For me, though, it was like I was fine with all that, and I do think that this is a movie that will benefit from a lot of EU material in the next few years. To me, though, it was by far like the most poorly edited movie of the sequel trilogy. The pace was just way off. I posted on Twitter that it was kind of like they made the Rathtar chase from TFA into an entire movie, or like the chase through Canto Bight. Like that's what the whole movie felt to me, kind of. Like, it was just nonstop. It was like they needed to take like the entire first half of the movie and like compress it, I think. Because not only
they should have done is just have an episode 10 explain the shit they did instead of just doing it. And then like I'm not saying turn your brain off and you can enjoy the movie.
No.
I'm saying that because it's not like it contradicts itself. It just introduces a bunch and then doesn't bother telling you how it got there.
Agreed. And just some of the stuff was unnecessary too. Like they had to find like 6 different things to find the Exegol in the end. It would have been nice if they had spent maybe like one side of the team and went to do that. Maybe the other was worried about rallying the fleets or whatever else, or something other than because it was like go to point A to point B to point C. You know what I mean?
Like you didn't need the Sith Wayfinders. Just maybe have a holocron they look for.
Exactly.
Don't worry about the Jedi Hunter thingy.
Yep.
And
get
all that more together. But
like Zori, for example, I don't think she really added very much other than some humor. Like that scene at the end, probably the funniest scene in the movie for me is when they're like celebrating and Poe is like giving Zori the nod, and then she like nods back and he's like, oh, you want to? she's like, no.
And then it seemed like Lando was hitting on the other girl.
Yeah,
let's find out where you're from.
I think that's supposed to mean that she's his daughter. Because there's something too in the.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone makes that be what that ends up meaning, but I don't think that's how it was intended, and that'd be really dumb if it is.
Well, in the visual dictionary, there's something about how all of the resistance generals and stuff had their children stolen or something. So. Yeah, it's like there's 2 black people in the galaxy. They don't need to be related. Like
3.
Yeah.
It's the Mace Windu cameo happened.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. But yeah, it's just like I would have been fine with an episode 9 part 1 and part 2. Like it would have been very. It would have been very.
If Harry Potter can do it, why can't Star Wars?
Harry Potter did it. Endgame and Avengers did it. Twilight, the cinematic classic, did it.
It was very much a movie that I felt like I saw some clips for the first one.
Oh, did I lose you? I think we lost Corey, guys. Just a second.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I lost you for a second there.
But yeah, it was like there was a movie that I saw some clips for, but didn't see the whole thing, setting it up, and then we ended up where we were. And I feel like it could have been so much better of a movie with that. And like that's what I mean when I say if you just sort of take it for what it is, you can enjoy it. I don't think it's like anyone's going to think it's a cinematic masterpiece or like a marvel of storytelling. Not even a marvel of Marvel storytelling, but it's fun in places.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just you feel like the jostling between the 2 directors with like JJ wanting to. He clearly did not. Whatever he's put out in the media, he clearly didn't like the way Episode 8. Like he clearly had a plan, and he didn't change his plan given what Episode 8 did. Because he even said like nothing they did in The Last Jedi interfered with what we planned to do. It's like, okay, maybe nothing directly interfered with it, but you spent half of this movie explaining why you're ignoring the last one.
Yeah, it almost feels like the reaction to Last Jedi made them afraid to take any sort of risk in the movie. So it's like, here's some fan service. Here's some more fan service.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some Jedi. Hey, it's Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
It's Kanan.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Kanan.
Yeah.
But like, whatever people's opinion of The Last Jedi is, like, Rian Johnson is a filmmaker. Whether you like his vision or not, he has a very clear vision for what he's going for.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas J.J. Abrams doesn't.
Yeah.
He's more going for the spectacle. So going from Rian Johnson do what is more of a character study type thing to J.J. Abrams doing throwing the fan service at the wall with some good moments, some bad moments, but less that's actually bringing it together.
That's why, like, I know people don't like The Last Jedi, and I definitely have my problem with it, but I still think, like, an entire Rian Johnson trilogy probably would have been the best way. Short of going off of George's scripts, which I think would have probably better... Or not his scripts, sorry, his ideas, which I think probably better would have incorporated the trilogy into the rest of the saga. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think Rian Johnson probably would have been a better choice for the entire trilogy than just JJ.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, it's just... It's frustrating that, like, even with Episode 8, when you watch Episode 8, it's so... Part of the reason why it's so frustrating is because Episode 7 sets things up really nicely, but then it feels like Episode 8, you know, it's not even a time jump or anything. It picks up right off. And to me, it feels like you undo a lot of what was done in that movie, and then this time you have the same thing again. So it's like, ends up being a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, and I think, like, I kind of want to know what we would have gotten if Carrie Fisher hadn't died.
Yeah, me too.
Because what we've heard in a lot of places is that, like, Episode 7 is Han's movie, Episode 8 is Luke, Episode 9 was going to be Leia, and, like, we were going to find out that she had been training, and it's just Leia being a badass for all of Episode 9. And they still, like... It seems like they still tried to go with that, but obviously with her being dead, they couldn't get any new footage. So it's like everything else just sort of doesn't fit in very well until it loops around the parts that they could have gotten done and tried to make that work still. Mm-hmm. And like, I really think a lot of problems that I have with how the movies ended up getting structured would have just been fixed if they had just let Leia die.
Agreed.
When they were like when she went out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Because by that point, they already knew Carrie Fisher was dead, and they weren't going to be able to do whatever they were planning with her in Episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, like, did Leia stick out to you? And, like, the fact that it was clearly edited together, was that really janky to you, or did you notice? Because to me, it never really stood out as
I mean, there was a few
especially
things
egregious.
Like, they obviously had a bunch of scenes of the lightsaber passing between her and Rey that they, like, even different angles you could tell that they used.
Yeah.
That one CGI scene of Leia and Luke training, I thought was not great. I like the idea that, like, Leia saw that her becoming a Jedi would endanger her son. I like that. But no, other than that, I thought it was fine. Other than, like, the scenes, no, but maybe her overall arc, you could tell that, you know, they were very limited. Excuse me.
Yeah, and
hiccup.
We kind of get a similar, like, I don't think Leia was ever really going to be, like, full-on Jedi, but it's kind of like what we got in Legends, where it's she gets enough training to protect herself, kind of understands what she's doing, and then that's
she
the
kills,
limit of it.
The Hutt. What's his name again? Not Jabba, the other one. Beldorian.
That's the one.
That's what I was really looking for in Episode 9, was for Leia to kill a
Beldorian.
Hutt. Yeah, Beldorian the Hutt.
Oh, what if instead of Palpatine, we got Beldorian?
And the little bugs. What are they called again? I can't remember their names.
The Verpine?
No. On that planet that Beldorian's on, there's those bugs. Remember?
Oh, I don't know.
I
don't know their names.
The Drox. Wow, you forgot about Drox, Corey. That's pretty shameful. Okay. Another kind of fan servicey thing too is the Poe's arc in this movie. He's clearly supposed to be Force sensitive. Or sorry, Finn, I mean, not Poe. Finn. Yeah.
I think he's kind of in the cheer it.
You think so?
Vein, where he's not necessarily, like, Force sensitive enough to be a Jedi, but he's got some sort of affinity for it.
Yeah. When Rey died, he had a Leia moment from the Force Awakens.
It is kind of a bit of the democratization of the Force that Rian Johnson was going for, maybe, or it's just he has some midi-chlorians, but not enough.
I think part of it is that John Boyega felt pissed that he didn't get to be a Jedi, so every day he was like, JJ, what? Can
half
I be
of the
Jedi,
movie,
please?
half of the clips that are on the cutting room floor was John Boyega just changing all his dialogue as if he was a Jedi.
Wow, I sure feel like something bad's gonna happen. It's like, yeah, we're in the middle of battle. Probably.
John, give Adam his lightsaber back.
Yeah. Speaking of, Adam really yeeted that thing into the ocean, didn't he? Like he tossed that shit.
It was symbolic of him throwing really far.
It was the Tommy John surgery in his former baseball career that turned him to the dark side. The scouts never paid him enough attention. Should we talk about things like in order though? I feel like we've got our general impressions of the way I thought it was.
I don't know if I'm physically capable of talking about this movie in order. I don't know that this movie had an order to talk about things in. We can try.
Okay, so what did you think of the first scene? Like, for me, the first 10 minutes kind of set the tone. There was, or first 15 maybe, it was Kylo on that planet, killing those natives, finding his Wayfinder. Then he finds Palpatine. Then there's the weird hyperspace skipping scene, and that's what I'll call the intro. What did you think of that?
I like the tone of it all. I had some issues. Like, I was in a really bad seat, and I was still getting used to the 3D for the first scene when he's killing the natives. It looked like it was visually cool, but I just couldn't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
I don't think that it worked really well in at least the kind of 3D that they were doing. Maybe that's just my terrible seat, but I was really surprised we got to Palpatine as early as we did here.
It was like 5
but at the same time, like maybe introduced that he was a thing in 8 or 7 or something. But
I mean, it would have been cool if like 8 ended that way, with because
7 ends with Luke on the island, 8 ends with Palpatine in a giant brick on a Sith world.
Exactly, giant brick. I like the visuals of Exegol. I don't like the fact that it's spelled EXEGOL. Why not EXOGOL? But
that's what I thought it was EXOGAL.
Oh well, I don't like that.
Okay, well that's it for the podcast, everyone.
But I didn't like the hyperspace skipping either. I know that's just me.
No, neither do I.
It's just like, what is the literal point of that? Like, it doesn't follow, and especially where JJ goes out of his way to like kind of shit on the Holdo maneuver later on, and he's gonna do something like that. And like, I don't know, bud.
Yeah, like were these like pre-plotted jumps that they had, and then they were being followed anyways, and it's just like I want to show 3 planets here, so let's do that.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have I want to start like a Twitter account that just tweets angrily every time Disney or Star Wars or Lucasfilm or whoever or Legends just totally ignores any rules of hyperspace.
Well, it was really weird because
planet
they jumped into the middle of a city, like they were in planet's atmosphere every time. Like, oh well, they can't have the shields on the Star Destroyers in the atmosphere,
right?
But we can fucking hyperspace jump through whatever we want.
Yeah. It looked almost like Cloud City or something.
I don't
think it was. It's kind of what it reminded me.
Because we get Cloud City later with the.
That was a really cool shot.
Possible Bellator scene.
Is that what you thought it was?
I don't know. Someone on the Discord for my stuff, I think Pillion, was saying that it matched the Bellator.
Oh my god. The video I will make if that ends up being the case.
I was looking at it and it looks like it could be. I'm not willing to definitively say it is, but it looks like it's very much not a resurgent, which is what I thought at first.
I thought the one over Endor did too, actually. Looked a little odd.
I think the Endor was a resurgent. Okay.
Do you have a picture you could send me? I'll put it up on screen.
I don't at the moment.
Okay.
Well, I can try to send it to you afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just it's like a movie where they already go to too many places, and like they didn't need to go through a space worm, you know, like for me, like when I first saw TFA, I thought that was basically like the perfect movie. Obviously, I have kind of cooled on it a bit, but the one scene in that was like the Rathtar chase that I thought was just awful.
Yeah.
And
that always brought me out of TFA.
Me too. And it's like in that there were like multiple Rathtar chases in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
the Rathtar thing might be my least favorite part of any Star Wars movie.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it was cringy, like it was and totally unnecessary too.
Yeah,
especially because they cut so much from that movie too, like scenes where they're sending the Resistance person off to Hosnian Prime. Like there's cut scenes of that, and like they included the goddamn Rathtar chase, droid factory trace, and somebody else says in episode 2 is kind of like that as well.
I don't know. This movie really needed to breathe more than it did, and there was so much that you could just remove from it, and it could do that, but it doesn't. So,
agreed. And it's like that kind of made the dialogue struggle a bit too, because like some of the exposition was like very clunky. Like they arrive at the base, and like whatever character will be like, "This just went out. This means," and then Poe was like, "Palpatine's back, guys," and I'm just like, that's so clunky, like the way they're doing it like that.
But
not.
I'm trying to think of what the equivalent of that. Like, it almost feels like if they had started episode 5 with the text crawl saying Han Solo has been captured and not actually show it.
Yeah.
Just start. Or I guess if you want to say episode 6 and then not have episode 5.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it's like if episode 5 ended up being about like, I don't know, like I can't even think of something funny. Just like if episode 5 had been about nothing, and then episode 6 had been episode 5 and episode 6 kind of put into one.
Well, I just mean the like having Palpatine's declaration to the galaxy just be part of the text crawl.
Yeah,
like
because I think that's a really cool idea as well. Like I like the what is it from Beyond the Death or whatever. How did it start? I thought it was a pretty interesting way to, start the crawl, but
it would have been nice if that was like covered somewhere else first, but
it was covered in Fortnite.
Right. I forgot to watch that, so I didn't watch Mark Hamill stream with Ninja, so
no, but it actually was covered in Fortnite. But
I think I kind of missed. So in that first part, it was kind of blurry for me to see that. Mm-hmm. You pass what looks like a cloning tube with a Snoke in it.
Yeah, 2 Snokes.
Is that what that? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of blurry. I wasn't 100% sure what I was looking at, so I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, and also the first planet was Mustafar. Yeah, which I thought was interesting, because I guess part of the Vader Immortal series is about fixing Mustafar. I haven't played it, but I guess Mustafar is like ecology has been kind of repairing itself, and
so it stops being a giant lava pit.
I guess so.
Huh.
Yeah. Let's get back on plot, I guess. Oh, what did you think of the new Star Destroyers? I thought that they were just modified Imperial Ones, but they're actually their own class. They're called Zeiston class, and they are 2,400 meters.
Can you spell Zeist? It's not Ziost, is it?
No, it's Xyston. I don't know. Exton, Zeiston.
Zeiston?
Yeah, that was my guess.
I mean, the fact that those have individual planet killing things might be my single biggest problem with any individual thing. Like, just
it's like
really
he just couldn't goddamn help himself. Like
I was like, okay, maybe this is going to be like a lot of damage on the surface of the planet. I can be okay with that.
Me too.
But then it's like, oh no, it exploded. Why did we have any other super weapons?
Yeah,
what's the point of Starkiller Base being what it was, or the Mandator, or
right? If it had just been like a Mandator style gun, I would have been cool with that. I'd been like, okay, like you expect some technology improvement from this, cold, this like dark empire that's been creating itself in the unknown region, but you don't expect them to have planet-killing guns on each Star Destroyer. That's a bit much.
That makes like
at least not every ship. Something like the Eclipse, which can massively damage a planet, I think is okay. Or the Mandator, I think that's fine. But
every ISD, and there's thousands of them in that fleet, is a Death Star or Star Killer base.
Yeah, and like people are like, JJ just did another super weapon. What's he gonna do next time? 2 Death Stars? And JJ's just like,
everything.
Buddy, just fucking watch. Just watch what I do.
It feels even worse than the Sun Crusher to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially because Kip Duran's not involved. At least the Sun Crusher gives you like 8 minutes to evacuate or whatever. It's like, I'm going to blow up your star system in 20 minutes.
Nope, just mowing down the planet.
Yeah, it was also kind of weird that like one ship left and the other ones were like kind of just preparing to, I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's still any like, because like at least that one ship should still be alive, right? Like that's still out there somewhere.
Well, I think that we're basically just supposed to assume the end credit or the end scene is just everything dying, but who knows what time span that takes place over?
True.
Because that could be years worth of
Yep.
revolts against the Final Order and other Imperial warlords and stuff.
True.
Because that only one of those ships could have been from the Final Order, right? So
yeah, I see. When I saw it, I just thought I just assumed they're all resurgence.
Yeah, I think only one was.
That's interesting.
I think just the Endor one.
That's interesting.
Or yeah,
I'll have to grab a cam version and watch it tonight. Just with a very angry eye.
Yeah. Like again, I was using 3D that I couldn't entirely see everything in, but and they were like being intentionally vague with the silhouettes there. But I think it was just one resurgent.
Okay. Kind of bums me out that we went a whole trilogy. We didn't get to see Coruscant.
Yeah.
The jewel of the prequels.
Timothy Zahn's best invention.
Timothy Zahn on Suicide Watch, not pleased. First, they don't get him to write it. They make him write 12 books about Thrawn. Now no Coruscant.
What if instead of Babu Frick, we got Talon Card, played by Timothy Zahn?
As long as we can have Shannon McRandall playing Mara Jade.
That would never be allowed.
No.
That's the one part of the contract that Lucas actually made sure was in there when he signed it over. There was the
goddamn Mara Jade.
Yeah, just he was not going to be okay with that.
Yeah. What was I going to say? See, I still think my theory for the whole... I think it would have been cool for the sequel trilogy. I did a video on this. An interesting way to set it up would have been to have Starkiller Base not destroy anything until the last battle in the movie. Like, until the Resistance attacks Starkiller Base. Then they fail. And then it blows up the Hosnian system. Then the super weapon's still around. And then it can be destroyed in Episode 6. If they need something big to destroy, which clearly...
In Episode 9?
Yeah, sorry, Episode 9, yeah.
All the re-edited versions of Episode 6 that come out the Death Star 2 is just overlaid with Starkiller Base.
Basically. But no, I think that would have been good too, because like one of the main issues was how close it was to episode 4.
Yeah.
So I think if it would have been an interesting kind of mirror if the Resistance just straight up failed the first attack, and like maybe,
that would have been cool.
Yeah, and then Starkiller Base.
Cool it on the other super weapons.
Yep.
You can still have supremacy if you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That comes down in Episode 8.
Yep.
So they get some sort of victory, but then Episode 9 is like this is a literal planet you need to destroy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, good luck, boys. Like, yeah, I think
have a bunch of Star Destroyers that were built or stored on Ilum as well.
Yeah,
because it actually is confirmed, everyone, that Ilum is the. If Fallen Order wasn't enough to show that, but
Yeah, no, I agree with what I said. So of course I agree.
I think I have great ideas.
That's a great idea. And then
Remember to
maybe
subscribe to your channel.
maybe episode 8 picks up like a couple years later, and it's like the resistance is like basically in the shadows, and like the whole galaxy's just like step out of line, and Starkiller Base just gonna blow your ass out of the sky.
Well, if it was a thing like because Starkiller Base is more powerful than the Death Stars because it can shoot across it's basically Death Star galaxy gun, multi-cannon shotgun planet destruction. So if it takes a long time, if they have to like mine more kyber crystals out from the planet and concentrate them more, and then it can only shoot so much so often.
Yes.
Then it's kind of like episode 8 and 9 is a race against time to find out who's actually running the First Order. You can still, if you want, you can still have Palpatine be like orchestrating it. Yeah. Snoke can still be his Palpa puppet, but it does center it a bit more. Because like, oh, now we're in episode 9 and Exegol is a thing and Palpatine's a thing and this giant fleet of planet killers a thing, and it doesn't matter that we blew up the Starkiller Base because it's already one thing. Yeah, I agree with you.
That would have been cool. And then another thing too is you could have had more time actually, because there was supposed to be a plot in TFA that showed like the senator or whatever her name is on Hosnian Prime. It would have been cool to have like a whole sort of side story about her like trying to get help for the Resistance, and then you get kind of maybe a little attached to her character, and then done. But that's fine. Should we move on though and talk about maybe Pisana? I thought that planet was really cool. The festival was like very like that was this. Say what you will about this trilogy, it had some really great visuals, and I think Pisana was pretty cool. Like the fireworks and the kites and stuff.
Yeah, I do like that we got some view of something that goes beyond just what they were doing, like what the main characters were doing. I think it does kind of stand against or contrast with the frantic pacing of the rest of the movie. Agreed. Though. But if I was cutting stuff from the movie, I don't think I would cut that.
No, I'd probably cut the droid Smith bit, I think.
Yeah, I don't think Babu Frick, like if you want to just have Babu Frick himself, put him with the Resistance so they have someone, and then 3PO can
that would have been a good idea. Yeah, just have them go back to the base, and then one thing I felt too, I don't remember the name of that planet where the droid Smith is. I found that felt very much like a Disney World,
It's actually the next thing after for Galaxy's Edge, so 100% gonna happen.
But I saw like I don't know, it's just like the stormtroopers in the back, they were just doing like a very like choreographed like I'll knock on the door and whatever, and I don't know, something about it felt like a set, and Star Wars usually does a good job of making things feel like a real place. So it would have been cool. It would have been better, I think, if they would have just removed that, gone straight back to the Resistance base, and had Babu as somebody there.
Yeah, like that whole planet was unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do get some cool mentions of like things that are in Star Wars. Like they mentioned the colonies, and I was like, oh, they know the colonies.
Yeah, but you can have that. Like there are other places you can slide that in too.
Yeah,
and the movie has enough like fan servicey stuff that I don't know if the mention of the colonies was necessarily the best one.
Listen, me and my cartographer buddies, we've been waiting for the colonies to get their just desserts.
You and Modi have just been sitting here waiting for the colony. Like I did enjoy when it came up, but it's like that. I wouldn't have been upset if I went through the movie and the colonies were never mentioned.
You just imagine there's somebody in like one theater, like, oh, the colonies, and you just hear, ha, like just this one guy's been waiting since like the first West End Games source book to hear mention the colony. Like, fuck yeah.
Him and a bunch of like British royalists.
British royalists.
Here, oh boy.
It reminds me of what's it called, Arrested Development. Have you ever seen that show?
Yeah.
Where what's his name is pretending to be British, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot you drive on the right side in the colonies." Bangers and mash. He says a lot too. Good show. Yeah, so I like the. I mean, I like the Basana stuff. I liked the characters had a good dynamic. It was a bit kind of like a lot of the jokes ended up just being like, we'll talk really fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did like the interaction between the trio that we have
Yeah.
now. And
Yeah.
3PO probably got more focus here than he has in any Star Wars movie before, which was
Yeah,
kind of
definitely
nice.
since A New Hope at the very least.
Yeah.
He did good too. He carried like Anthony Daniels did a good job. I thought.
Hmm.
Um, like it was some of the humor was a bit like Marvel-y. Like it's a lot of it's not jokes, but it's wit. If you know what I mean, like the
Yeah.
characters being witty with each other. But that's fine. It kind of suggests like a sense of camaraderie, I guess.
And what did Finn want to tell Rey?
Oh, he wanted to get to Bone Town with her for sure, right? Like,
I I thought maybe that, but I thought like maybe he picked up on something that was actually important to tell
oh
her.
God, no.
But my money's definitely on just
Yeah, he's trying to get
weird love plot that didn't need to go anywhere.
yeah. I'm glad they held it off. I do feel a bit bad for Kelly Marie Tran. They just kind of tossed her ass to the side.
Yeah, last chance to come, Rose. Oh no, JJ told me I have to stay here. I mean Leia. It was Leia.
Leia. I mean Twitter. I mean no Leia.
Twitter said I'm not allowed to be the character anymore.
I didn't hate her character in The Last Jedi either. I think she's a good actor. I
Yeah.
think the main problem was just like she was frustrating because of her arc, and people felt like she took Finn away from the main story.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of like I don't know. I guess the romance in episode 8 didn't necessarily feel super real. I guess anyway, so it's okay. But
Yeah. The whole series would have been better without any of the romance plots that happened. Like I was never pro Raylo.
oh, I think that was good.
I'm okay with how it ended up going down,
Yeah.
but as like I didn't think uh Ben could live through this movie.
Oh, really?
Because Star Wars has been big not just on redemption but redemptive sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to turn back to the light side in the movies at least unless you die.
Right.
Like you have to be giving something up. And Legends has it all the time where you basically switch sides whenever. But like just the expanded user universe, I mean, but for the movies it's always been redemptive sacrifice is the thing. So either giving up his life or something of equal or greater value.
Yeah. Equal or greater value.
Like 3 trillion credits or something. But I don't know what Ben values his life at, but I was convinced he wasn't going to make it through the movie, and I would have been kind of annoyed if he had.
He was just so fun when he turned good, though. Like, he did such a good job when he was redeemed. Like, that moment where he
all
jumps
those
on the
zero
chain,
lines he had.
Well, it's just like for some reason the moment when he jumps on the chain, he goes, "Ow!" It's like really humanizing for some reason. Like it's like okay, he's been putting up this facade of being this like badass wannabe Sith this whole time, and then he's you know he's just.
Well, I think that theme is one that does kind of land with the movie that does really well. Just people, whether they're choosing their own destiny or they're being who they're like born to be because of their family legacy.
Yeah.
And it is kind of heavy-handed in some places, but
Star Wars is always a little heavy-handed.
Yeah, but like with Ben, we obviously get he feels like he has to be this heir to Vader, this new Sith, or even if he doesn't consider himself a Sith necessarily, but he is a slave to the dark side basically, and he does as much as he feels like he's being drawn to the light, he does whatever he can to make sure he's living up to that.
Right.
With Rey, it's kind of the opposite, where she's more drawn to the dark side and doing what she can to stay away from it. And like, that's kind of always been her biggest downside, is that she goes for whatever is quickest and easiest for her. And Luke tells her that straight up in episode 8. And you get a lot of that here, where she gets frustrated and lashes out, and
she feels like her destiny's already set, basically. After that, too.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a good point. I do feel like I do kind of like the bit of him saving her at the end, even though it's it's kind of cheesy. But I thought it was a nice tie-in to the prequels, where like, Anakin tries everything he can to save Padme, and he kind of goes about it the completely wrong way. He tries to make himself more powerful, basically. Like,
yeah.
And then this movie is all about, like, no, if you want to save somebody, really, it's about sacrifice. It's not about, gaining power. It's about, because, like, I think that the whole Anakin-Padme relationship is purposely designed to be, like, unhealthy. Like, Anakin doesn't really love Padme. He kind of just, like, covets her in a way.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of supposed to address that a little bit. And that was, like, I quite like that tie-in. I also like for that reason, too, I kind of like the battle on Endor, because it was kind of like the opposite of Mustafar. Instead of it being, like, a big fiery world, it was, like, a water world with these big... It was basically like an ocean of... It was, like, the exact same Mustafar as an ocean of fire. This was an ocean of water, like they usually are.
A regular ocean.
So it was kind of like a... I thought there were some nice kind of twists in that respect, I guess. What do you think about... one of the most common complaints of bringing Palpatine back is that it ruins Vader's sacrifice. What do you think of that?
I disagree with that, because ultimately what Vader did... Like, Vader's big thing wasn't that he killed Palpatine. Palpatine was on an exploding space station regardless. It was Vader's choice. Like, the important thing about what Vader did was he made that choice. And
I agree.
Well, Palpatine's death was also supposed to bring balance back to the Force. It killed him as well. He did. He stopped Palpatine from being an effective Force. If you want to take the position that he needed to be the one that kills Palpatine. The Palpatine we see in Rise of Skywalker is not a functional human being. No. He is on an arm. He is on, like, 100% 30-year life alert. And he's still a powerful Sith Lord, but he is decrepifying before our eyes the entire time. So I don't think it ruins what Anakin did.
No, I agree.
Like, Anakin still made that choice. Anakin wiped out the Jedi. Like, part of bringing balance to the Force was also wiping out the Jedi Order.
Right.
And he made the choice to do that. He made the choice to turn against the Sith and stop Palpatine from being able to continue that line. Rey is the one who, like, Rey and Ben together ultimately finished that job. But Anakin set all the groundwork for it. He did the most important parts, Anakin and Luke. So I don't think it cheapens it.
Yeah, I mean, plus, I agree, and I'll get back to that in a second, but plus, when Rey kills Palpatine, she kills Palpatine and all of the other Sith, too. So it's like Vader kind of cleared the way for Palpatine to need to go all in.
And in that moment, like, one of the things that the sequel trilogy does that we don't see as much in the other trilogies is it personifies the Force a lot more. So... The Force is kind of this idea, like, the Force is its own entity with its own intentions and actions. And in the sequel trilogy and in Disney movies in general, we see the Force acting through people more than... I'd say the prequel trilogy has it more as a gamified ability that the Jedi have. Yeah. Whereas in the sequel trilogy, the Force has an intention to it. And, like, when Rey is fighting Palpatine at the end, it's not like... It's very explicitly not just Rey.
Right, it's good versus evil, basically.
It's the Jedi Order acting through her, and, like, she basically becomes Aang. If anyone's seen Avatar, when he's fighting Fire Lord Ozai. But
no, I get you, and, like, I think you're right. Like, sacrifice and kind of sacrifice Vader made it's about it, like, a decision, like an internal decision.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about... A sacrifice isn't about an effect. Like, Kanan's sacrifice in Rebels doesn't really do anything besides protect the crew for a little bit. But that doesn't mean his sacrifice was bad. Like, because it was his decision to give himself up for something greater. Like, Vader's sacrifice is about him as a father deciding to, like, love his son more than to love his his master or power or whatever else, and you can't take away from that by anything. You can't take away from that from anything because it's not about what happens afterwards. It's about the internal decision. Like Vader doesn't, like when he dies, he doesn't say, "Oh, thank God I killed Palpatine and the Empire is dead." He's like all about being
I saved
able to,
my son.
Look at his son for the last time.
And then 5 minutes later, like, Leia, why don't you forgive me?
Yeah, literally 3 days later in Courtship of Princess Leia, he's like, I did the thing. Come on.
Love me, everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and I think that's the important part with like Rey calling herself a Skywalker at the end. Mm-hmm. Like adoption's a thing, and posthumous Force Ghost adoption probably also a thing. But it just highlights the choice of like she is choosing who she is, mm-hmm. Ben is choosing who he is, Anakin chose who he was. Mm-hmm. So it's less that there are these slaves to destiny, it's that they made that choice that is who they're going to be regardless of what they're told their nature is, or what they're told they have to do.
No, that makes sense to me. I agree with all that. I do understand, though, on the other hand, why people are a little frustrated that literally all of the Skywalkers die. And their legacy gets taken over by a Palpatine. But I think that, like, that is a little frustrating, and I do get that, but...
That is a Palpa meme ironic, but...
That is true.
I think if, like, Luke had had a kid, that would have been a nicer way. Like, I just don't see a way for Ben to come back and stay alive and still be... I don't think that was ever going to happen.
There's no way.
Within the themes of Star Wars.
Yeah. Not when he's killed so many people and he's authorized so many deaths and he's just been so evil. If he had just killed his father, then you can come back from that, but...
Yeah. And the movies try to highlight it like that was his prime crime, which for us as an audience, like that is what we engage with most.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. But at the same time, he was a space Hitler. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, him
deciding he changed his mind, most people aren't going to care.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a fair point, I think.
Like let's say at the end of episode 6, instead of Vader throwing Palpatine down a shaft, Luke just finds him in a hallway. He's like, "Dad, let's get out of here." Vader's like, "Yeah, I don't like this anymore. I'm leaving with you." And then the Death Star blows up because of Wedge and Lando, and Vader leaves and is like, "Hey, look, guys, I'm on your side now." I don't think anyone would have gone with that. Like the thing that makes Anakin's sacrifice work is that it was a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. It was. He gave himself up specifically to save Luke, but he gave something up. And him coming back cost him something.
In Star Wars Infinities, he gets white armor, which I think is probably good enough.
God damn.
Okay, you've almost redeemed yourself, but you can no longer wear this epic black armor. You've got to wear this stupid white armor.
Have you ever seen someone not want to be somewhere as much as Dennis Lawson?
I thought he was fine. At least
he was fine. It's just
they didn't specifically say, keep on that gun, Wedge. At least I didn't hear them say that.
Then everybody claps.
On the other hand, Billy D was really good. Unironically, I thought he was really good.
Yeah,
and he's been voice acting and stuff, so I wasn't surprised. But I think out of any of the original trilogy characters besides Luke, probably he was the best, like at acting.
Ever since they announced that it was going to be a thing, the thing I have been looking forward to Lando Calrissian being back in a movie for like 5 years now, and he did a really good job, and I think they did a good job with his part too. It wasn't overly,
no.
Like he did important stuff, but he wasn't like everywhere. Yeah, and I think he was handled really well.
Yep,
he was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea that they go to the core and they get this massive fucking fleet in 8 hours though.
Yeah, to me, like my assumption with that is that they've traveling there was over the course of a couple more days. Like it's impossible to tell what the time scale with this movie was. And because like it could happen if it all happened in one day, I wouldn't be surprised with how hyperspace skipping worked. But it seems like it was basically the inverse Palpatine, where Palpatine had done like a galactic broadcast of "I'm still alive, you're all gonna fucking die," and what Lando did was, or what the Resistance and Lando did was a galactic call of like, "This is where we're going. We need all the help we can get. Here's where we're rendezvousing first, and then we're going."
Yeah.
And a bunch of people showed up from that, like everyone who was available. Every 3D model that Disney had on their hard drives.
There were some bad parts with that. The models, like, it was very busy, and like I just feel like every ship I looked at was that goddamn bunker buster from episode 8. I spotted a lot of Nebulon Bs, a lot of the Nebulon C. I spotted a couple of MC-85s. I spotted an MC-75, but like I didn't see any new Mon Calamari ships, I don't think.
No, I don't think they made any new ships for that. I think it's all just stuff they've had. Yeah. And we didn't really get much of the space battle either, which is kind of disappointing because it was like we got just the stuff that was happening on that Resurgence, on Pride's Resurgence. And is that his name? Pride?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. On Pride's Resurgence and a little bit around that, some stuff with Poe and his X-Wing, but the rest of the battle was kind of just background.
The bits where like the early battle, I thought, where the little squadron of fighters was in and doing runs on the different Star Destroyers, that was pretty cool. Because there was like a nice sense of like scale there, and they're like among this massive armada, they're doing like nothing. But yeah, I wonder.
And that kind of means we didn't get a real big good space battle in the series, which is
really
very
disappointing. Yeah.
Like the closest we got is the chase in Last Jedi, but we kind of got the end of what was possibly a good space battle there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was really disappointed with the ships. Like it's a dumb thing to be. Like you look at the stills and it's like 10 different versions of Han's ship from Episode 7. It's like they're really just copying and pasting shit here.
Yeah, it was just what is the biggest wall of ships we can make? Well, Palpatine Force storms it.
Yeah. What did you think of that, his Force Storm?
I liked it as a Dark Empire reference.
Yeah, it was that's exactly what I was about to say.
A lot of my enjoyment from this movie does come from like the like I was saying at the start, from the moments, like it was more about the moments and kind of seeing some of these recreations almost of some Legends moments in movie form was fun for me.
Yeah. Oh, like this movie basically is Dark Empire. Like like Secret Fleet, Palpatine hiding out. Dark Empire even has a message go out. Like
the essence swaps were pure.
Yeah.
Like Palpatine's way he survived is basically Dark Empire. Exegol is just Biss.
Yeah. Palpatine like cleansing the Empire beforehand. He does that, and
Secret Biss fleet calling in all the people.
Ships.
Yeah, Operation Cinder is just the Imperial Civil War.
Yeah. And there's like even the Knights of Ren, like Dark Empire is all about Palpatine getting like this new, like these new Force sensitive, like his army, like the Empire becomes a lot more Sith based. Like he's got the Executors and stuff. We get obviously a lot of that in this movie. Where Palpatine's just like dropped all charades, like or all not all charades, all like pretenses, yeah, of just being like
I am just evil.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm not just emperor. I'm a bad dude.
I am going to say lines you've heard me say before.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, basically. Well, I don't know. Like I love the idea of Dark Empire, even if the execution can be a bit rough. Like Palpatine dies twice in that.
Yeah.
Comic, and, like that's a bit weak. Even like the end of because the end of Dark Empire is basically all of the Jedi being like, keep your ass in hell. And that's kind of what we get in this movie too.
Yeah. So were the Sith cheerers a different, like, were they a Sith species or were they just Imperials in hoods.
They were
they
supposed to be
spirits?
like Sith lovers, I guess.
Yeah. Sith
Like,
stands.
Yeah, Sith stands. I don't think they were supposed to be Imperials because it's really confusing because Palpatine's his like new empire is called like the Sith Eternal. But then there's also like the Final Order. So
well, the First Order and the Final Order are like basically just not actual faction names. They are literally orders given by Palpatine.
Right.
So the First Order was to do whatever they were doing.
Right.
There was just the first and final. There was no second or third order, I guess.
Yeah.
He just had the two. His naming could have been better.
Well, there was like the Go Get Sushi. That was like the third order, and it was very short.
That one actually got refunded. So
Palpatine got a really bad stomach virus off that one.
That was actually why he was on the boom arm. He was it wasn't from Vader chucking him down a shaft. It was
really bad
decrepifying clone bodies. It was
really bad seafood.
He needs to go to an optometrist. His cataracts were just not good.
I gotta say, I was a little disappointed with the Palpatine they gave us. Like the look.
Were you?
Yeah, because I wanted them to go like really gnarly with it. Like I wanted it to be like like I wanted him to be like desiccated. You know what I mean? Like
and they tried to show that just with his fingers, and I think they were too afraid of getting a higher rating than PG with that.
His fingers exactly like his fingers were good. I wanted him like all to be like that.
Yeah, and I like that's what I'm kind of looking at when I'm saying like Anakin did do some serious damage there.
Yeah,
he is why that Palpatine is like barely. And as I so often do, despite J.K. Rowling being terrible, I'm going to bring this back to Harry Potter.
Okay,
where Anakin is Harry Potter in the first Wizarding War, where he gets Voldemort to blow up the first time, and then Voldemort's like barely tied to life. And what Rey does is more like if Voldemort hadn't fully come back,
right? If
he was still in roving spirit form, and then Rey finishes that off.
So you mean like
Anakin did the big thing. So Philosopher's Stone is episode 6,
but she shot what's his name, Quirrell, in the head a few times, and
she. If the destroying the diary had been the end of Harry Potter, and that had killed Voldemort entirely, that's what Rey did.
Could you kill a wizard with a shotgun? You think
you could? Yeah.
Could you kill Voldemort with a shotgun?
No, not with the Horcruxes.
Okay, like with the Horcruxes destroyed, or before the Horcruxes, like when he's, starting.
Yeah, he's just, unless he like stops the bullet somehow, he's just a dude.
Okay. He
could possibly like heal himself somehow, but I think everyone's weak to bullets is one of the main lessons we learn in most of life.
Except 50 Cent.
Not 50 Cent and Superman.
Fair enough.
But if 50 Cent has blood in the sand, how did that blood get there?
Oh, that's a terrible game. Terrible. I played it. I rented it from...
Did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't think anyone played that game.
Well, I was a big 50 Cent fan back in the day, so...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The second one was better. But what did you
rarely hear that.
What did you think of the essence stealing?
See, again, because I was enjoying the parts that were Dark Empire, I was okay with it. But that and the healing, I can see a lot of people having issues with the fact that that's never explained.
Yeah.
And so on a fundamental movie-making level, I think it's bad. But on I'm here to enjoy the Dark Empire ripoff, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I thought I was fine with the idea. I just thought the way they shot the essence stealing scene was a little cheesy.
It was like reverse Force lightning.
Yeah, and they were just like, oh, like, they made that sound, I think.
Oh no, they did.
I did the.
They actually used that clip.
The ADR for the movie, in case you guys can't tell. Yeah.
Stop. Just don't.
Okay, I'm sorry. And what about the dyad? That's the other big Force thing, like the connection between the two. Again, I like that. I thought that was fun.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because that is something that has come up like with every movie.
Yeah.
In the sequel trilogy, that is very much established. We just get a name for it here.
Yeah.
And it lets them do some crazy shit, like the passing actual objects back and
That
forth.
was cool, yeah.
But I think that is something that the whole trilogy has been setting up, and that they
Even
paid
the
off
first
pretty
trailers, like it was like
Yeah.
the dark side rises and the light to meet it, or vice versa. Like, yeah, I agree. Like, they're definitely supposed to be kind of manifestations of different things, I guess.
well. And like we did
Yin
get
and yang.
we did with the essence transfer, we did get the force healing with Rey earlier on. It's just we don't know like where that came from, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So whether that is something she learned from Leia and where Leia learned it, who knows?
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda, that's a very good theory, because I've seen some information going around that like I thought before going into this that Cara Dune and Baby Yoda were Rey's parents. And we actually don't know that they're not. They could have been in disguise.
Oh,
they could have been in disguise. And Baby Yoda is Palpatine's son. Look at Yoda, look at Palpatine, just as wrinkly.
You're not
We don't know
wrong.
who his mother was.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, so this is canon now. You're welcome.
Do you think the mother will be Slimore, like in Legends?
Are we talking like for Rey's actual parents here, or are we talking about Baby Yoda? Because then it's Palpatine and actual Yoda.
Yaddle, you mean?
Clearly. No, actual Yoda.
Palpatine claps green cheeks. Let's get that trending.
Yeah, it would like Baby Yoda was a like basically in vitro like test tube baby for Palpatine and Baby Yoda.
Okay.
But I don't know who we're gonna get. I don't know. I'm assuming we're gonna get Palpatine's family history and Rey's family history in books and stuff now. But
do you think it's an actual like baby produced by sexual intercourse, or do you think it's like an Anakin thing?
I think it's a regular baby.
Okay.
Like I think he had actual children from actually clapping green cheeks, as you so eloquently put it, green or any other color. But I think it's going to be just a thing where he had a kid.
I kind of wish that they had just made Rey his child, because I like the idea that Palpatine, after he's killed by Vader, is just like pissed and is like, okay, maybe having a family like does have its benefits, but
so like a baby, like a child he created himself.
Yeah,
or
I would have liked that.
Like by created, I mean like Snoke created.
I don't know,
because I don't think that would work because of how old Rey is.
No,
either way,
it wouldn't.
Because like Palpatine can't function biologically in a lot of ways, and I'm sure that certain parts don't work as well.
Are
as
you saying Palpatine's got a weak dick game?
I'm saying Palpatine has no dick game right now. Rewatch Rise of Skywalker.
I wasn't checking.
Just picture every scene Palpatine is floating around on that arm, completely dickless.
Okay. Shake me a bit more. I'm starting to feel the life come back.
So, I don't like the idea of Rey being created in a test tube.
Okay.
With that, because like clearly he was not good at like his Sith science only went so far, and Snoke was supposed to be human or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was not good at this. It's very difficult to create these people.
Yeah.
Like himself. I'm assuming he's in a clone body, and that's decrepifying.
I don't know.
Because it can't hold his spirit.
I don't know if it's a clone
I think
body.
It's basically I think his actual body was just completely fucked up at Endor, and then he essence transferred himself to a clone in the deep core. I mean, Exegol. And I think that's what we're going with. That's my guess, based on extensive research in Dark Empire.
Yeah, I read the comics a few times as well.
Visual Dictionary.
Yeah, but maybe. I don't know. I feel like they're going
to. If it's his actual body, I don't know how it got there, or how it survived the hole.
I don't know. Dark side of the Force.
Did he hyperspace skip with just his body?
Well, maybe.
These are the questions that we will need answered. So if we want to just tweet at Matt Martin, and can't do Pablo Hidalgo anymore, Jason Fry maybe?
I'd love to see Pablo Hidalgo's Twitter
right now.
I'm wondering if he's open. He's pretty openly critical of Episode 7, so I wonder if he's
Hmm.
Yeah.
We'll see. We just got to get in.
Yeah. We need
With
our
him,
General
his
Hux
friends.
inside Pablo Hidalgo's Twitter.
How did you feel about that?
Hux was kind of ruined in episode 8, so
Yeah, he was always terrible,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, he was a bit more competent in episode 7 though.
He just sort of stood there in episode 7.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he had the speech.
Yeah, he ends up being almost as petulant as Kylo, which is
I'd say more petulant.
he's just he's like a worse version of who's that spy in Rebels? I forget his name. Agent
Oh, yeah, Callus.
Callus.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is literally just Callus. They look very similar.
Yeah.
So,
Although Callus turned to be a good guy.
well, Hux turned out to be
Hux
terrible.
wasn't a good guy. He was just a different kind of bad guy.
Did we get a sense of what sort of information the spy was sending? Because I don't remember. Like, was it stuff that was just damaging to Kylo, or was it stuff that was damaging to the entire First Order? Because one of those seems worse than the other.
I feel like it was mostly the First Order, even though he likes the First Order. He's just anti-Kylo.
Yeah, he just wants to get rid of Kylo.
Yeah.
So, like, he should have been fine with killing Finn, Chewie, and Poe.
Yeah, but I think he saw them as the best chance to screw over Kylo, basically.
Maybe, but he also has to know he's going to be held responsible for what goes wrong on the ship.
Well,
unless he thinks that Pride's going to take the fall.
He thought that he wouldn't, and then he gets shot in the face, basically, or in the stomach, which I get him out of there, I guess.
Yeah.
I liked Pride as well. I liked Pride, and I liked the whole...
If we didn't have room for Rose on this ship, you're not coming with us, Hux.
Yeah, true. I didn't even think about Hux leaving with them. But I like... I was going to say... I like the First Order Council they have, too. Just like the table of like high generals and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the first time we get a sense of like the First Order as an actual government rather than just a military faction. It's kind of like the Death Star Council in Episode 4.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Probably some governors in there. Maybe some Moffs. A couple generals.
One thing I meant to mention this earlier, and I'm just remembering now. It's kind of funny how Rose in Episode 8 is a mechanic, right? And instead of having... she's at least got like a spanner and stuff.
Yeah, like she's a scavenger, so she's got some technical knowledge at least, yeah.
Rose is?
Rose or Ray?
I said Rose.
Oh, my bad.
Isn't she a mechanic?
I'm not sure.
I was just thinking they got that alien on the Falcon all the time, the one with no arms.
BB-8's a droid, not an alien.
No, what was that big one called again?
Oh, the guy who's in the first 5 minutes of the movie on the ship?
And then the very end. Like, why didn't they just have that be Rose?
Yeah, well, he wasn't there for the rest of the movie either, so...
Yeah.
It's not like he came with them on the adventure, and then... I kind of want to rewatch it now and just look in the background of all the scenes on the Falcon and see if he's there. Just, like, napping in a corner or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Claude. It was Kale-UD, I think. Claude was his name.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't really do very much.
No.
But people were really pumped on him before the movie started. I remember it was like one of the first things that leaked about the movie before the entire movie leaked like 3 months ago.
I was able to avoid almost all the leaks, which was nice. The only thing I'd seen beforehand was that Ahsoka was in it, which ended up not being a huge deal. So I had no real information other than what the trailers gave away, which was a lot.
Did you find yourself surprised when you watched the movie, or?
No, the fact that we knew Palpatine was back, nothing really came as a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting Rey to be to come from somewhere. I think Palpatine was one of the top 5. I had probably top 3. I thought it would be either some way connected to the Skywalkers, Kenobis, or Palpatine. Mm-hmm. My money would have been Kenobi.
Really? I never felt that though. Like, why Kenobi?
I never felt like it. Like I didn't think it would be as important to the. And I just thought it would just be another thing where everyone in Star Wars is related to each other.
Yeah.
So,
like, I never felt like Obi-Wan was that important of a person. Like, people say
no.
that Obi-Wan is the best Jedi of, like, the prequels. Like, I never saw that. Like, I thought that he was, like, very good because he's on the council, but definitely not the best, you know?
Obi-Wan is kind of like the personification of the Jedi Order for the prequels.
Yeah.
Where he's supposed to represent to us the sympathetic side of what the Jedi Order is.
Mm-hmm.
And like you obviously have people like Mace and Yoda who are ranked above him, but you don't connect with them in the same kind. Like
exactly.
You don't really connect with anyone in the prequels. But the intention of who they're supposed to be is that Obi-Wan is what's supposed to make us sympathetic to how the Jedi operate, whereas Anakin is the one fighting against that, and you get that clash. But like I just figure like if they're gonna make Rey be someone, maybe it's somehow related to Obi-Wan, like Obi-Wan and Satine.
Even though she died.
Well, we don't know what they did before she died. Maybe she got some eggs frozen or something.
Huh. How about that, guys? And
yeah,
Obi-Wan got some sperm frozen because he died. And
no, we don't know that he did. We know an Obi-Wan died. What war did he fight in, Ek? What was the name of that war?
Galactic Civil War?
No, the one before that he actually took part in.
Oh, the Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars. So, pick up what I'm putting down here.
So you're saying that he's basically Jorah Sabayoth.
I'm saying that the one, like Luke is Mount Tantus. The Obi-Wan we see watching Luke is a clone.
Okay.
Real Obi-Wan, you know who he is? Palpatine's son.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How did I never see that before?
Yeah. You're welcome.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the original plan for the Thrawn trilogy, was to have it be clone Obi-Wan?
There was, I think it was I don't know if it was Obi-Wan.
I think so. I think he was supposed to be Sabayoth.
Or was that
or am I thinking Dark Empire?
Yeah, Obi-Wan, I think Obi-Wan was supposed to be Sabayoth.
Yeah. There's a chat. Yeah. There's a discussion in the comments about how you pronounce Sabayoth. The only
I think Sabayoth.
Yeah.
I used to say Kaboth, but it's incorrect. It's Sabayoth.
There's that book that came out with all the pronunciations. And the audiobooks help. That's where I get all mine from, the audiobooks. They're great. Just like you got Luke and Luke.
Luke?
Yeah.
Note
Luke.
the telltale mispronunciation of
Luke.
Joras.
Yeah. We got way off topic here.
Not as off topic as the 50 Cent game.
Yeah, and not nearly as off topic as we get usually, to be fair.
Yeah.
There were a lot of fake leaks throughout the trilogy. One was Anakin would appear as a sloth. That was a pretty good one. That got memed pretty hard. A giant sea sloth on Luke's planet. There was another that when Luke would see Rey for the first time, he would say, "My baby girl." And there was another, I think, when Kylo and Luke were supposed to have a fight in Episode 7, according to people who obviously were making up leaks, that one of them would say, "Have you no honor?" That was another big one.
That sounds like even bad for Star Wars dialogue.
And then the one for this one, which ended up being correct, was NTBSA, never to be seen again. As in, well, it wasn't quite right, but it was Kylo gets thrown into a pit, never to be seen again. And then anytime people watch the trailers, they'd be like, "Is that the pit right there?" And it was the pit in the end. It was. But
he climbed out.
Yeah, he climbed out.
Now I shall eat you into a hole, as I was eaten so long ago.
Yote, so long ago.
Oh right, I forgot yote was the actual past tense. I apologize to everyone.
You're legally not allowed to say yeeted. Oh shit. What did you think
shit.
of Anakin not being in this movie?
He was.
Wow.
His voice. I was really expecting them to have Force Ghosts in that scene.
Me too.
Like, it was going to be a bunch of people around.
Force Ghost Party. I think Star Wars Explained called it.
I think that would have been worse. As much as part of me wanted that, I feel like it would have been worse. I would have liked to see Hayden Christensen.
I agree.
Like, physically show up there.
Yes. I wanted just him. Just Hayden. Luke and Leia, fine. But I think Hayden it was a missed opportunity not to include him. Mm-hmm. It would have made the prequel fans really happy. And it would have made sense, more importantly. Even if it was just like to give him advice after he gets his ass beat by Rey and stabbed. Well, actually, he would have won that fight, I think, with Rey, but...
Kylo?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was winning that fight until Leia distracted
Even until Rey
him.
became a Mary Sue.
Oh, yeah, until she immediately became better than him. Like, she was losing that fight. She was probably going to lose the Force tug-of-war on the shuttle until she absolutely demolished it.
Yeah.
And she was only winning against Palpatine when she started getting all the ancestral Jedi help.
Big family gathering.
There were some weird choices with the voices in that. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like
Yoda, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan,
okay, sure.
Anakin,
even Mace. Okay,
Kanan, Ahsoka, Luminara Unduli,
yeah,
Ayla Secura,
Hattie Gala. Yeah, it was.
They just got every voice actress who picked up the phone from the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan was actually James Arnold Taylor.
And I guess Ahsoka's dead.
She would have been pretty old herself.
She would have been like 70,
I don't think this is. I don't think it's hugely surprising that she's dead somehow.
But she wouldn't have been that old.
Or maybe she's doing a Force call. We don't know.
That's true.
Or that was a clone of Ahsoka that was calling in.
That's true as well.
I was waiting for a clone of someone else to pop up in that scene and fight Rey and Kylo.
Really?
I thought it was going to happen. Or I was worried it was going to happen.
Who did you think?
I didn't know who of. I was thinking, like, is this when we get Luke Skywalker? But...
Oh, that would have been bad. That would have just been pure bad.
Yeah, it would not have been good, but I was
Especially
bracing
if it was like
for
the
it
same
to happen.
CG quality as the rest of that one scene where they're young.
Yeah. I wasn't 100% sure if it would be that. I would be like, maybe here to fight Anakin. I cloned him. Maybe it's like
that would have been
fight. I don't fucking know. Fight Sindralig.
Fight Ulic Kaldroma.
There's a thought. Here's Exar Kun.
Here's Darth Revan. Go on.
Here's Empatogeos Brand.
Dude, if they brought in Empatogeos Brandon flying on his little hover body, I would have been all in. I would have been all fucking in on this movie.
He just hugs Palpatine and explodes while Rey's in the middle of like fighting off the Force lightning.
Don't worry, Rey, I've got it. She's like, who the fuck are you?
Remember me in every Tapcaf episode.
I would have loved to see old man like Rex, like especially where he's like implied to be in Return of the Jedi.
Super old, like 30 years older man Rex.
60 years older, because clones age double, right?
Don't they fix that though?
Do they fix that?
Well, it's a thing in Legends, so you'd think that maybe somewhere along the way, if he's still alive, it means they fixed it.
I don't think they fixed it. What do you mean they fixed it?
Well, they're looking for Cal Skirata, right? Or not Cal Skirata. Is it Kosai they're looking for?
Yeah.
But they want to stop the aging process, or the double aging, because they're all gonna die.
That's right. I forgot. You mean in Legacy of the Force?
Yeah.
Right.
All the characters that come back from Republic Commando.
And Boba Fett's like, sure sucks having cancer everywhere.
Yeah. But like, it wouldn't be the biggest stretch the movie makes to have them imply that the cloning aging was fixed off screen.
Sure. I could get over that if it meant old man Rex still fighting the good fight.
He's probably one of the CGI models in the fleet. Like, not all of them are ships. Some of them are characters.
Oh shit, we ran out of Resurgent Star Destroyers to paint over. And what do we use now? Well, we've got this. We've still got the old clone models from episode 2.
So do you think the Ghost models were a Ghost freighter? Like that class?
I don't know. Like, it's such a bummer that
Ghost?
they did that with the space battle.
Yeah.
Like, that's easily my biggest disappointment. Because
yeah, me too.
I would have been totally... Like, I'm such a loser that, like, even if the movie completely sucked, if the space battle had been totally awesome with some new ships, I would have been able to attach just to that. And, but, like, it's so lazy. It's like, oh, they went to the core world and I got this fleet. Thank God someone had an MC-85 lying around. Huh?
By someone, do you mean an artist or someone in the galaxy?
Well, both. It's like, oh,
but
don't
yeah,
don't
no,
worry.
I definitely agree. Like, the biggest disappointment isn't even just that we didn't get the battles, that we got teased with a battle and then...
Yeah, exactly. Like, they had the Avengers Endgame moment. I really didn't like Endgame, but at least they set it up for fans to be excited and they followed through. Here it's like, okay, we got this big-ass fleet.
Yeah. I really did like the shots of the Corellian Corvette both falling and taking off.
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought those looked really cool.
Yep, I thought that was cool as well. Did we even see, like, a U-Wing up close? Like,
no, we saw one in the distance.
And we saw one in the... but it's weird, because there was a shot in the trailer.
Well, no, we do get that. I think that is one of the fighters that we see first.
Okay.
Like, we get that shot.
Yeah.
But that was it. And it was... it might have been shorter than the trailer for that, but... like, yeah, we got one Imperial ship type, and we got 1,000 resistance ship types, but it's all stuff we've seen before, spammed on the screen, and then we don't actually get to see any
Don't worry,
kind
we
of
got
actual
Hans
battle.
Freighter a gazillion times.
Which it's especially disappointing because Rogue One had such a good space battle.
Exactly.
And
probably
we could
had
have gotten
a third
more
of the budget
that.
of this movie.
Yeah.
Now I'm
maybe someday.
Yeah.
We'll get like a war movie style trilogy, and that would be fun.
Yeah. What do you think is next?
Movie wise?
Yeah.
I'm not sure because they had so many things planned. Obviously, the Benioff and Weiss trilogy isn't happening, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Rian Johnson is still involved in some way. It might not be another trilogy now, but like I don't think his stuff has been completely canceled. No. And I think we'll probably get something else first. Like 2022 is the earliest we're getting anything else.
Mm-hmm. I would be surprised if we get anything that early, even.
Yeah. Well, what I think it was Bob Iger is the one that said like 2022 at least is the hiatus. That might even be for production.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be like 3-4 years before we get another movie.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with what they've been doing with a lot of the shows.
Me too.
And I especially like when individual people are sort of left to make their own stories within the universe. Mm-hmm. So it's less worried about keeping the main saga in line, and it's you can get stuff like Rogue One or The Mandalorian where the stories aren't as important to the broad. Like Rogue One is as important to the broader universe, but it's not involving the same characters. And you can have those one-offs, or even genre movies. But
yeah, now that they've got Disney Plus, like, I mean, The Mandalorian has been amazing. I look forward to every episode, and I'll be I watched the first 2 episodes when they came out. I watched them probably 5 times.
I think I watched the first episode 3 times. Like, I watched it on my own, then I watched it with my girlfriend, and I watched it with my roommate. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, and I mean that show's been pretty consistently. I mean, some people have complained that there were 3 sort of middle episodes, which I think, like I talked about this in my review. You didn't do a review of episode 7, did you?
No.
I thought that the episode 7 retroactively made episodes 4, 5, and 6 way better.
Yeah, well, I think the problem that those episodes had is that you weren't sure where the show was going.
Exactly.
And so it felt like it wasn't going anywhere, but the stuff it did to set up those characters retroactively now makes sense when you don't have those worries that it like now that it is going somewhere. And I think that was the fear that the feeling a lot of people had was that the show wasn't it didn't have a broader goal for him.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, it's trying to free the attention on Baby Yoda or the child.
Exactly. And it's like if the whole series had been like as action-packed as episode 3, then I feel like we would have got burnt out. The good thing is when you have sort of, and they're not throwaway episodes, when you have lesser stakes episodes, it like makes when something really big happens, like in episode 7, no spoilers, it's sort of, it makes the tensions feel more real, and like it makes those other ones feel kind of more like fun, lighthearted adventures in a way.
Yeah. And the show can, like, the thing that the shows can do that the movies or like the sequel trilogy couldn't is that it was free to make whatever choices it want with no preconceived notions about who these characters were. Yeah. So whatever spectrum of expectations people have for Luke, for Han, for Leia, you can't really fuck that up because you're not working with those characters, but you're still working within that universe.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that like The Last Jedi did that a lot of people didn't like is just it took the characters in a direction that a lot of people didn't like. And I already said close to the start what my opinion on that is. But with The Rise of Skywalker, one of its main problems is that it doesn't really want to do anything.
Yeah.
It wants to do everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, who's a villain people want? Palpatine. Let's get Palpatine back in here. What is he going to do? Probably nothing. How does he get here? We'll worry about that later.
People want Finn to be a Jedi.
Here's some fun, interesting shots in the middle, and how it all connects is less important.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I put a tweet about this, but it almost feels like, even though it's obvious that the original trilogy and the prequels, more so the original trilogy, didn't have everything fully plotted out before they did it.
No.
But that being said, I do think George Lucas probably knew what he wanted to happen with Vader in the end. Even if he didn't know that he probably didn't know that Luke and Vader would be related, but I think he
I think it was more like episode 4 happened, and then with 5 and 6 were all planned.
Exactly.
Because episode 4 is fairly standalone, nothing really.
Yes.
Or like stuff happens and stuff matters, but nothing it does really makes it a problem to expand on it.
No, exactly. But then with 5 and 6, like those movies work very well together. Even if some people think 6 is weaker, which I don't. Like 6 is my favorite, but there's definitely each movie sort of serves the trilogy, and the prequels maybe even more so. I think The Phantom Menace is a throwaway movie a little bit, and they could have just started. I remember the machete order for a while. It was just like skip episode 1. You don't really miss that much. But it still feels like each movie is in service of a trilogy. But with these 3 movies, it feels like each one is just trying to do it's trying to use what it can from the trilogy to finish its movie. You know what I mean? Like with The Last Jedi, Ryan had a story he wanted to tell, but he wanted to tell it for his movie, not for the trilogy. It's the same with episode 9. So it's like, instead of each movie serving a greater narrative, it's like each movie is sort of twisting the narrative to serve its movie. You know what I mean?
And I do think part of that is going into episode 7. They're like, okay, we're not going to do anything. Like, what JJ specifically said was like, we're doing this to not deviate too far from what people know, to show we can make a Star Wars movie, and then after that is when we're going to get different.
Yeah.
But then episode 7 comes out. It's like, okay, this is mostly A New Hope.
Yeah.
And so the stuff it's setting up is the same as what you'd get set up in A New Hope. And then with episode 8, Rian Johnson had the story he wanted to tell, and he told it. And then JJ was coming in, and I don't even know what story he wanted to tell.
Yeah. Like,
was Palpatine made up as the big bad for, like, did they go into episode 9? Like, has that always been part of their plan? Was that something they started planning when they started making episode 9? Did Carrie Fisher's death really change that much with their planning? And I really do think that had a bigger impact than people are giving it credit for, just from what they've said about what the trilogy was going to look like during its development. But what Whether that would have been better or worse, I can't say. But I do think it does have an important part in sort of how it got as disjointed as it did.
Right.
Because they didn't pivot with The Last Jedi for that, but they were going into making Rise of Skywalker with that original plan, if there was an original plan. And maybe I'm giving them too much credit with that. Maybe but it doesn't fit as well together as 2 and 3 or 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, I agree. And like it doesn't feel like Ryan knew they were bringing back Palpatine, for example, because he did nothing to help set that up.
No.
And like that's kind of like shows a bit of the weakness to me.
Well,
like,
maybe he
up,
did like
yeah.
If he didn't know that, he probably wouldn't have killed off Snoke. Like he may have known that Palpatine was coming back, so that's like okay. Because I don't think anyone expected to go through the trilogy with Kylo Ren as the big bad. I think most people were kind of on the okay, he's going to come back, he's going to be redeemed in some way.
Yeah.
And so it may have just been like okay, well, but Palpatine is kind of Episode 9 story, so I'm going to leave it for that because even in the original trilogy, we don't get much Palpatine until Episode 6. So maybe Rian Johnson thought like, okay, that's going to be what they're doing there. So I'm just going to deal with more Kylo getting to the point where he needs to be redeemed and setting up that relationship with him and Rey. But
that is possible. It's just hard to set up a bad guy and beat the bad guy in one movie of this scale when you got so much else to do.
Yeah, and for everything, like for as much as Palpatine being the Emperor was obviously like he was the big bad in 6, all we needed to set up that he would be the big bad in 4 and 5 was that it's an empire. There's an emperor somewhere.
Yeah.
So we get a couple scenes of like the one conversation with Vader, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
But because he wasn't really doing as much in the movie, it was just I'm going to turn Luke. Vader's not going to turn, and then Vader turns.
Yeah. What did you think of Luke, speaking of Ghost Luke?
Do we see Force Ghosts using the Force in other situations?
Besides Yoda, not really.
Like even in Legends, I'm thinking. Are they usually able to interact with...
I'm trying to think. I don't think Obi-Wan does anything. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any.
But I thought it was weird how interactive they could be with their environment. Because it seemed like they were able to come and go as they please, which Obi-Wan sort of did in Episode 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Or 5. But the amount of interaction they had with their environment just seemed way too much.
Some have said that one thing I've heard is people theorize is because it's Acto, it's like a Jedi homeworld, but I agree.
So it's very strong Force presence.
I guess. Like, I don't know. Him pulling the X-Wing off was a bit much, and her using that as like her main craft, especially because the Episode 8 visual guide had the X-Wing be his door for his hut. One of the wings.
Yeah. Well, like JJ is the one that set up the situation where Luke had exiled himself for 30 years. Ryan tried to set up an explanation for why that was.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so he couldn't leave again. What was it that drew him to be here? Whether you agree with that or not.
Yeah.
And then JJ's like, oh no, actually he could have just brought that X-Wing up whenever he wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is JJ's explanation for why Luke was gone? Did he lose? Did he get lost? Did he not have the nav data to get home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he could have chased Rey probably if he really wanted to. Even in Episode 8.
Yeah. So, like, whatever people want to criticize Rian Johnson for doing with Luke in Episode 8, JJ is the one who put him there. And...
yeah. I mean, it would have been... I gotta say, it would have been nice to have Luke be alive in this movie, though.
Yeah.
I would have liked...
But then you have to have the trilogy be a lot more disconnected from anything that Luke could deal with.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on where like Luke could just mollywop Ben and head along his way.
Yeah. It's just the tonal changes between 8 and 9 are just hard to reconcile.
Yeah, like
Here's the
they
important question, though. What did you think of Luke's hair?
that was throwing me off.
Yeah.
I
Luke had a mad flow. Like,
He inherited the Jedi mullet. That was a big deal going from episode 2 to 3
it
with
was.
Obi-Wan to Anakin, and now Luke has the Jedi mullet.
What do you. Was JJ going for like a Jesus thing with Luke?
It's definitely seemed that way. Catching the lightsaber coming out of the fire,
Yeah.
that was
In the end
absolute Jesus
scene,
moment.
like Luke and Virgin Mary, which is kind of.
His sister, just
Yeah.
reigniting those.
Kind of a weird thing
They're
there.
they're actually listed as Rey's legal parents now.
Ray Skywalker. That's what the papers say. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad he showed up as a Force ghost,
Yeah.
and I think him being dead and showing up as much as he does as a Force ghost is fine with like the whole Force Awakens theme and the Force being its own character almost.
Yeah.
But the whole lifting the X-wing there was.
What do you think of
something
the
else.
complaints against the entire trilogy of the main characters never coming together?
Well, we got a lot of that in this movie. Enjoyed it.
I
We
mean
get a
the
lot of
OT characters.
in
Do you feel that way? Like, do you feel that disappointment?
I do in a way, but it's also like that is more of a want for fan service almost
Mm-hmm.
rather than, and like some people will call that, oh, it's just respecting the characters, but like to respect the characters, you don't have to expect that they're all going to be in one place and we're going to get a scene of like Lando, Leia, Chewie, Luke, and Han having tea together.
Mm-hmm.
Like we do get some nice scenes between Leia and Han, or a nice scene between Leia and Han,
Mm-hmm.
and we do get a nice scene between Luke and Leia, or a couple between Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't like, I'd love to watch the Han and Lando nightly talk show, but I don't hate that we didn't get it. Like I especially understand why it's something that Mark Hamill really wanted,
Mm-hmm.
because to him, like that's getting back together with
Yeah.
the cast, and they're like those are people he wants to work with and enjoys working with, and I definitely get that. But beyond a fan service perspective, which I would have loved to see it. I don't think we needed to. Like I don't think to make a good sequel trilogy you need to have that happen.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Although it would have been nice to have the whole family be together at the beginning and have Kylo fall, maybe. But like, I would have loved to do like a Legacy of the Force style story. The problem is it would just be so damn similar to the prequels. Like, I've been thinking for the past few days, if I were to do the sequel trilogy, how would I do it? And I always come back to this idea that it would probably be pretty similar. Well, it'd be similar to the Legacy of the Force, with something turning the
Jason.
the Jason character. But if you look at Legacy of the Force, it's basically the exact same as the prequels, because it's just Jason being scared to lose, various things, his daughter, and there's a war going on and stuff. So he falls to the dark side for the right reasons and whatnot. And that's exactly the same as the prequels. So
Yeah.
it's hard.
And I think the thing that makes Jason work, like the reason he is my favorite Star Wars story, is because we do get all the backstory other places showing how he got to that point. And I don't think you can cover that as well in one movie either.
Probably not.
It's one of the problems with the prequels.
But I will say the chemistry between Adam and Harrison, I think, is good enough that I think him being good for half a movie or even most of a movie and ending with the killing of Han Solo, I think we would have felt that. Especially where
if it had even been set up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, especially where we know Han Solo from prior stuff.
Yeah. Like I think it would have been pretty cool, even if it was just done as a episode 7 being structured like half present day, half flashbacks kind of thing.
That would be cool.
I think that would have worked.
Yeah, like I think that would have been cool too.
Especially if we go with our previous change of like Starkiller Base not being ruined in episode 7.
Yes.
So like the end of both plots in episode 7 being like the fall of Ben and the destruction of Hosnian.
Like maybe it starts off with like maybe Kylo's originally fighting the First Order or something, or the galaxy's in a sort of less of a Cold War, but more of a fight against this like resurgent faction. And then for whatever reason he switches sides. Maybe it's even similar to what happens like with Luke, or he's seduced by Snoke or Palpatine or whomever.
Because we just don't get much of an explanation for a lot.
Yeah, and that's one of the most compelling parts, because it's like seeing the family ripped apart, and the family is like, like there's a reason why everyone's so excited for this Kylo comic that's coming out, because that's like one of the most interesting stories. And another thing is, a lot of people did want to see Luke's Jedi Order too, and we don't see that.
Was there even much of an order?
There were like a few dozen. There were Jedi Knights, because it shows, the new comic shows Kylo killing 2 of them.
So they're still out there in the Gout, or they've left somehow?
I think most are dead, but there might be some left.
Yeah, I guess that Jedi Hunter had to have something to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't just an Old Republic Jedi Hunter.
Yeah.
Because I always get the timeline more compressed on the sequel trilogy, where I start thinking of it as being like 15 ABY or something, but it's like 35. So, yeah. But is Cal one of them?
I mean, he could be, but...
Are we getting like 60, 70-year-old Cal in Jedi Rising Order after Episode 9?
I wouldn't mind it. But on that note, do you think the Sith can come back? In any form?
I think the Sith Order, as in like the Order of the Sith Lords, we probably won't get back. We might get some like Sith cultists. We'll probably get Dark Jedi.
Yeah.
As long as they're making Star Wars stuff, we're going to get Dark Jedi.
You think they will make stuff after this? In the time period after this?
Eventually, I think it has to.
Yeah. I kind of predicted this would be like the war to end all wars, you know? With like the ultimate triumph of good versus evil. And we do kind of get that a little bit with like the light side literally wins out against the dark side.
But that would be expecting Disney to stop making money off stuff at some point, and they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like you could argue also in like Legends that is the defeat of the Empire, is that going to be enough to stop? Or was the end of the Vong War going to be enough? Then we end like Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi, and the New Republic or the Galactic Alliance is still split into the Confederation.
Yeah.
And
then they get the triumvirate.
So like there's always going to be. It's not called Star Wars and then we're done. It's just Star Wars.
Right.
There's wars forever.
What do you think? Who forms the next government after this?
Poe.
Poe.
Just Poe. There's not even going to be called like the New Republic. It's just Poe. Like, on Wikipedia, there's going to be affiliation Poe.
I'm down. And like their insignia is just like Poe's big ass head.
The First Order experience, POE.
I'm all for it.
Actually, I do think the next movies we get are going to be like Old Republic era.
Yeah.
We're going to get like massive Jedi wars. It's all going to be lightsaber battles and fleet battles.
Are you being facetious or not? I can't tell.
I think that will be a big part of what we get. That seems to get thrown out there so much, and it seems like it was something that they were working on.
Yeah.
I don't think they've abandoned that idea. I think that was Benioff and Weiss. That was what their trilogy was going to be. Or that's what the rumors were. So I feel like they haven't abandoned that idea.
I feel like that'll be the Kevin Feige thing. Because...
Yeah. Well, now it's clearly not going to be Benioff and Weiss. I don't know who's going to do it, but I think that's going to be next.
I do feel like the next trilogy might be more Marvel-y than what this trilogy has been like. And there are good and bad bits to that. One is continuity will be very good. The plot will be very planned out. But Marvel movies are pretty shallow. In my opinion. Not everyone thinks that. I'm not a huge fan. They're very, very entertaining. But maybe Star Wars needs that just to, bring some, get people really into it again and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be really down for an Old Republic thing.
Me too. That's actually one of the the parts with canon that's kind of undetermined still.
Yes.
Whether that's getting brought over wholesale or piecemeal or what.
Definitely not wholesale because it was a mess in Legends.
Yeah. Well, if we're just saying like Tor is part of new canon,
Right.
because
Right. So
otherwise,
not
like
all the
it's
gazillion
definitely part
Sith
of
Wars
Legends,
and
but is
stuff.
it also new
Yeah.
canon?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they'll keep similar themes, but I think they're going to really kind of because the weakest thing about like that whole era in Legends is it's just Sith battle after Sith, like Sith threat
Yeah.
versus Sith threat.
There's the
Jedi
Great
Civil
Sith War, the
War,
Sith War, the Sith Wars, the War of the Sith, and also the War with the Sith, not to be confused with the Sith War of
plus the
Wars.
Jedi Civil War. You get like it's so much. So yeah, I agree that will probably be the
Which is why our next episode is actually going to be us casting Knights of the Old Republic as a movie.
Sure, that'd be fun. Everyone says Keanu for Revan.
Yeah, I
don't know. I
don't
don't think
love
he's
the
got the
Revan
range.
mullet, but
I don't know if he's got the range either, to be honest.
wow, that is not something you say on the internet.
I love Keanu, but I think he's good in his niche.
Yeah.
Although Revan is kind of a strong silent type, so maybe it would work.
What we need for a Knights of the Old Republic movie is like the audience chooses the dialogue that Revan's going to say at any given point. We just get literally a movie of Knights of the Old Republic. It's FMV, Knights of the Old Republic. What is there? So, what would be what you're hoping for the next, like a period, a topic, whatever, for the next movie?
I honestly don't know. I don't know where else they go besides Old Republic, really. I'm tired of Empire. I'm tired of Rebels. I'd love to see I'd love to see some animated stuff, or like some lower budget stuff. Like I'd like to see, I don't know. Like I'd like to see some stuff about young Kylo and Luke animated. I'd really love to see them give the DC treatment to. I've talked about this before, but DC does story treatments or film treatments of some of their movies. Like they did like The Killing Joke and other stuff like that. Like it's pretty low budget animation and stuff. I'd love to see them do that for just some of the Legend stories. Like I think people would eat up a Thrawn trilogy of that style, and it wouldn't have the same expectations. Just like keep it animated, keep it like it's its own thing. It's not trying to tie in with other things yet. Yeah. Other than that, Old Republic probably, and I'd like to see them do something weird and different.
Abeloth?
Well, not that weird.
I
think. Let me look at the plot on Wikipedia that I don't really remember.
I think we've covered most of the major points.
Yeah. What did you think of the C-3PO stuff?
I think we talked about that a little bit, but I liked the part he got. I think there was one too many 3PO needs to shut up jokes.
Mm-hmm.
The one where he says the thing and they're in the desert, and then they all look at him and he looks behind himself. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But this is one of the bigger parts 3PO's ever had in a movie.
Yeah.
And I thought him and Lando were handled.
It was pretty funny too, where he was like, "I'll never let you wipe my mind or whatever, or restore my mind."
Backup,
and then just like quick cut.
So R2 is just making these backups without 3PO now, which I think is like a great little bit of subtext there. That
I said that I think we've covered pretty much anything. So I don't know if I want to give a rating, but just do you want to restate your impressions? We've picked up on a lot of people. Oh, Death of Snap. What did you think of that?
The death of Snap?
Snap Wexley. You know who that guy is? He's like the other big X-Wing pilot. He's like pretty large, like he's actually big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He died?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
He gets shot down.
Oh, see that? I saw people getting shot down, but that was another one where my seat made it very difficult to see what was actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
But rip Snap.
Yeah, rip Snap.
He went pop.
Yeah.
Crackled.
Yep.
Oh well.
So yeah, do you want to give final thoughts and I'll give mine?
Yeah, I think it was a fun movie. I don't think it's a fantastic movie. I thought there was a lot of good individual moments, but I do think it's a movie that doesn't breathe as much as it needs to.
Yeah.
And so you end up with a lot of stuff that's either unnecessary or then the necessary stuff doesn't get explained as well as it could.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think it is a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah.
Yeah. When I saw it in theaters, I thought that it was like bad, like straight up really bad. Um, I'm starting to warm on it a bit. It was just, again, what I thought was bad was not the plot or the ideas, but the execution, which was just so messy. It was so sporadic and chaotic and just like go. But like I need to see it a few more times. I don't really feel like seeing it again right now. You know, like I don't feel like seeing it in theaters again. And I'm curious to see how this does on for box office, Rotten Tomato. It's been gotten a pretty poor reviews by critics, but right now fans have been pretty positive on it.
Yeah.
You know, I went to the showing, and all the kids that were there, and there were quite a few kids in the theater, even though it was a late showing, they all were really excited afterwards, and like that made me feel a lot better about being kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
Like
And I am seeing some people saying that fun doesn't mean a good Star Wars movie, and that's why I never use the word good.
Yeah.
That's why I use the word fun.
Yeah. Let me just. So yeah, that's our general thoughts. It's gonna be an interesting one at the box office too, just because. Yeah, after Solo and The Last Jedi, it'll be interesting. Do you want to read a few emails we have though? I guess I'll read the first one.
Sure.
So Cody said, by the way, guys, this for those who are just tuning into the YouTube program, this is basically a live recording of our series Tapcaf Transmissions. Usually we do Legends book reviews, but obviously today we're talking about the movie. We've got an email that you can send questions to, usually about the book we're reading, but this time about the movie. It's tapcaftransmissions@gmail.com, down in the description.
And next episode, we are going to be finishing the Thrawn trilogy.
Yes.
With Last Command. So if you want to go get caught up on those last two episodes.
Yep. And if you want to be a grifter and say Disney Star Wars sucks, should have done Thrawn, next episode will be for you. Let's see. So here's the email from Cody. He says 7 out of 10 for me until I realized today that Kylo flew to Exegol in a TIE fighter. Biggest plot hole ever. Now I need to go home and rethink my life. Yeah, I noticed that too.
I think it was established in Force Awakens, wasn't it, that those TIE fighters have hyperdrives?
But it wasn't a First Order TIE. It was a TIE from the Death Star.
Oh, shit. I didn't notice that. I thought it was one of the First Order ones.
I don't think so, because there's a shot when they're climbing into the Death Star that shows a TIE sitting there. I assumed it was that TIE.
Yeah, I thought I saw the red markings on it. But
maybe. You could be right.
You might be right. I probably am not. Like, again, I was sitting... So... the front section of the theater, I was in just like the second row.
Oh, that's terrible.
Far like the farthest right seat there by the door. So I was unable to see certain parts very clearly. So I am 100% prepared to be wrong on that.
Did you notice the issue too where what's his name says fire the ion cannon?
And then they're green?
And they fire all the guns on the Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
That really
when you have when you have the main weapon, like the underslung cannon, every other weapon is just, it can be an ion cannon at that point.
Somebody else pointed out that one explanation could be that it was the Emperor's personal TIE, if he has one, because it was under his tower.
But, maybe.
Yeah. This next one's from Callum, who says, "Dear Ek and Corey, here are my general thoughts. The Hux subplot was kind of underwhelming.
True.
I like that one planet from the ending of the prequel trilogy, Mustafar, and original trilogy Endor were included. I agree with that. I like the
fun fan service.
I like the very ending. It's like poetry and rhymes.
I was talking to my roommate last night. He hasn't seen the movie yet, so I've probably just spoiled. Sorry, Nick. But I told him that actually Palpatine in the movie is played by George Lucas, and all he's doing, all of his lines are just going to every character. I'm like, It rhymes. It rhymes.
More, faster. Yeah. He says, I love the Mandalorian Uber healing connection. I wonder if that was planned. It must have been, right?
Yeah. It doesn't. It feels like that's not something that just gets independently brought up at the same time. I think that is a crossover that happened.
And he says, overall, I loved it. I don't mind retconning at all. I mean, Obi-Wan retconned the whole Vader killing Luke's dad thing in episode 6. True. Can't wait to listen to the podcast. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas. And are we sure Ek is not a furry? First of all, I'm not a furry, and I regret choosing this profile picture every day of my life. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people who loved it, which is, it's nice. I feel like this might end up being less divisive than episode 8.
I was thinking about that, and I feel like no one will have opinions that are strong enough on it to get mad about other people's opinions on it.
And I feel like it takes... Okay, I'm not saying this because I disliked episode 8 or anything like that. A lot of people felt like it shit on the main characters, right? In episode 8. This one didn't... I don't think you could argue that it did the same thing. So people are probably, whatever. I think it'll be less divisive. And do you agree?
Yeah, I think, like, even for people who love or absolutely hate it, I don't think they're going to feel so attached to their reasons for loving or hating it that it'll be as much of an issue.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who feel very strongly both ways about The Last Jedi. And because it did make those choices, whereas Rise of Skywalker just kind of does stuff, doesn't explain it in any way. And people will either enjoy the stuff it does or they won't. But I don't think it'll be like debates over whether it was the right thing to do or not. It'll just be like, this happened. I liked it. I hated it. Okay.
Fair enough.
Maybe that's naive of me. That is my hope, that we will all just enjoy or not, and we'll move on with our lives having that. But
do you think Rey is going to stay on Tatooine?
No, I think she only went to Tatooine to drop the lightsabers off.
People were like, well, the track that plays is called A New Home, but I don't think it was supposed to be a new home for her. Like, there's no reason for her to stay on Tatooine.
Yeah. Because, like, unless she's going to rebuild the Jedi Order on Tatooine, which maybe that's a thing. Like,
maybe
Luke's homestead, the Owen and Beru homestead, is going to become a Jedi enclave. But then it seems like the burial of the lightsabers there is not going to last long.
Yeah. No, I agree. Any other points? Any questions that you picked up on from the chat, or do you just want to leave it and say look forward to the next episode?
No, I've got nothing else I really want to add there. I'm not seeing too many questions.
All right.
Unless there's anything you want to bring up now.
Nope. Yeah. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for being respectful in the chat. Everyone listening on podcast, thank you very much. As always, there's an email, tapcaftransmissions@gmail.com. Please send us your thoughts on the current book that we'll be reading when we do the episode. Again, next time, that's the final book of the Thrawn trilogy, The Last Command. We love getting your guys' emails. Make sure you follow us. Sorry?
I was just going to say, any idea when we are doing the next episode?
Oh, let's take a look.
So, the way we usually do this, for anyone who is new and just here for the Rise of Skywalker review, if you want to get into the podcast as well, we do this every other week, talking about generally Legends books. The next episode will be Last Command, and we alternate who's streaming each time. So sometimes we stream it on my channel, then other times we stream it here. There will be links in the description to both channels, or I guess you wouldn't link to your channel on your channel.
No.
But Last Command will be on my channel, then we'll be back on Eckhart's Ladder do we want to announce what we're doing because we haven't decided yet? Do we want to just do the original Dark Empire?
Maybe, yeah. I think it would make sense.
Yeah.
So we'll do
there you go.
all of Dark Empire 1 then, all 6 issues, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll see how that pacing goes, and if we then want to do 2 episodes or 1 episode for the last bit.
Yep.
Combine 2 parts of Dark Empire into one thing, and maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Is that the takeaway from Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, we'll see. I think maybe we should keep it on Friday because the next Thursday is the 2nd, which is I'll probably be hungover. I might not be in town.
No,
as well.
I'm not.
So we'll decide on the date. We'll say the date is pending. It'll be the 3rd or the 4th probably. I might be going away, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll see you guys there for a discussion of The Last Command. The book is phenomenal. I just finished my first reading.
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to be number one for me.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's going to be my number. It's
by Plagueis.
Yeah, dethroning Plagueis. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. Corey, do you think are you streaming after this? Are we gonna play some Empire War? Maybe, I don't know.
We could play some Empire War, maybe some Halo. I don't know.
All right, sweet. All right, see you guys. Have a good one. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.
Bye everyone.